what's up? I'm Liz, the Split State DIY, and what you just heard were the sweet, sweet sounds of some tones playing through a Circuit Playground Bluefruit. Oh yes, my friends, that's what's happening inside this snap fit case. Oh yes. Oh yes. Now how are those tones happening? What magic is this? There's no wires. What is going on? Bluefruit, people. Bluefruit low energy. Oh yes. What we have here is a Feather NRF board, and it's having a chat with the Circuit Playground Bluefruit with the magic of CircuitPython. This was inspired by the app, actually, for Circuit Playground Bluefruit. There's a new app for iOS. I think it just got ported by a community member to Android. Bravo to them, because yikes. But there's an example in there that has like a keyboard on there. When you press the little keys, when it's connected to the Circuit Playground Bluefruit, then like you can play little tones. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, what if you made a hardware version of that? Like a physical version? Is that possible? And it is. I knew that the Bluefruit boards could talk to each other, but I wasn't sure like how, not well, but if there were any limits on that. And it turns out with a little bit of tricking the Bluetooth stuff, which we'll go into a little bit when we talk about the code, you totally can. You can basically do anything you want. It's pretty magical. But let's talk quickly just about the hardware. What we have here, of course, is the Feather NRF. I'll put the full name on the screen because I can never remember the combination of numbers. And then we just have some simple little buttons. You've probably seen these buttons around. They tend to come in example electronics kits, where they're just a simple momentary switch, and then they have these little circular things on top. And nice clicky, nice tactile response. Tactile button, that's what we're going for. And so I 3D printed these little keyboard keys and made it so that they would just snap over the buttons on here. So then it's pretty easy to translate and to print out too, because they can print up with no supports. And I kind of went for the squishy, kind of chibi look. I'm very into it. I think it's the cutest keyboard to ever exist because they aren't as proportional as keyboard keys normally are. You get this little kind of squishy, little cute, like you just want to pinch your little cheeks, they're so cute, keyboard keys. So there's that. Very simple circuit. We're just connecting the buttons directly to the I/O pins on the Feather. Feather has basically just enough with just a hint of breathing room for the 12 keys, and then you're in business. If you want to use a bigger board with more I/O, or maybe if you want a mux, you could probably do a full 88 key baby grand if you really wanted to. I mean, there's really no limits to any of this. There will be a learn guide for this project, so you'll get all the fun details. And speaking of the circuit, I have kind of two versions here so that any type of electronics enthusiast can go at this, really. This is the protoboard version, and I'm glad I did this version. I hadn't done a real protoboard project in a while, and I wanted to do this because not everyone wants to order a PCB or that. So if you want to just quickly make this on your own, I'll have kind of a guide on how to do the layout on the protoboard, and also this particular, like, not to be mean, but the uglier brown protoboard you can see under there, the holes are the perfect size for these thicker leads on these momentary switches. Otherwise, the green stuff that I think everyone gets off Amazon super cheap, the holes are too small, so you can't fit them in. The only protoboard holes that I found were big enough was this brown stuff and those breadboard protoboards that Adafruit sells. However, the spacing on the breadboard ones, not great for a keyboard layout. So I recommend using this brown stuff. It takes about 2 sheets, and you do have to cut it to make everything fit properly, but it's all good. And I'll have the spacing in the Learn Guide, as well as links to download this lovely 3D printed case to pop it into. It's just a simple little shallow kind of box, and then I have just some kind of lips around the edge, similar to when you do a snap fit, not unlike this amp here, to hold it in, and then you're in business. Just headers to plug in the feather, and on-off switch, wonderful. However, if you really want to go the extreme route with the electronics, I did make a PCB. Very simple, just the buttons and the feather, and I'm glad I made this PCB because you may remember a project called the Xylo Pi. Not gonna lie, because of all the nonsense that has occurred with that project, I was a little turned off, a little sketchy, a little hesitant, a little scared to make a PCB again because I'd made so many silly mistakes. So I kind of saw this as my getting back on the horse, just going back to PCBs, because it's so simple. It'd be really hard to mess up. And I was really afraid though, like what if I did mess it up because it was so simple? Like that would just be very depressing. But I didn't. So here we go. And the Eagle files will be up for this. I didn't include an on-off switch on the PCB. I will probably put one in for the file for you. That's how scared I was. That's how scared I was. I didn't want to add anything extra. But it'd be really simple to throw it in just to ground the EN pin, and then you're all set. And that's how I'll show it in the fritzing diagram in the Learn Guide. And that's how it's happening on the protoboard version here. Yeah, so you can also do a PCB. And the beauty of designing a PCB in Eagle, or one of the reasons why I choose to, there are other options out there which I acknowledge, and they are valid. All of your choices in software are valid. But one reason I use Eagle is you can then bring it into Fusion 360, which means you can then create a quick little mount or enclosure for your PCB project. So this is just a simple kind of base for the PCB with the mounting holes. You can do heat set inserts, or you can just screw in the standoffs and you can have a time. But what if you're like, I'm so over plastic, I want to go au natural with my chemically created PCB. You can also do some woodworking. Oh yeah. I told you I wanted to do more woodworking, and I did it. Super simple, but I did it. I just took the PCB, traced it onto some 1/8" plywood, which by the way, so cheap. So cheap. Like giant piece, $4. Wow. So I just traced the PCB onto the plywood, cut that out with the jigsaw, sanded it a bit, tapped some holes for the mounting screws, sanded again, then shellac, my favorite, my buddy, my pal, did a coat of shellac, sanded another coat, and then we're good to go. I just screwed in the standoffs and called it a time, basically. I do wish I had maybe done this first, then traced that onto the wood, because it is good to have it be a little bit bigger than the PCB, and actually the first one I made ended up being too small by the time I sanded and everything, so I made it again. This is the second one. But it worked out, and I'm still learning woodworking, and I thought, what a time to like kind of test that out. Doesn't it look nice? I think it looks nice. It makes it look classy. I think it classes up the joint, with the PCB, the brass standoffs, the wood. It's nice. I dig it. So you can really, you can go whatever aesthetic you want. I'll of course be sharing the Fusion 360 files for this. You could CNC this if you wanted to. That could be cool. Get the hexagonical action going for it. Oh yeah. I like hexagons. I don't know. I did the same thing for this one too. But yeah, that's basically the electronics. The Circuit Playground's super simple because we're just adding the stemma speaker to it to just make it a little louder. A natural tuning, thank you. And you're good to go. 3D printing for this. We've got some standoffs on the front. Mount it. And I wanted to do an amp enclosure because I wanted it to like a half stack Marshall. Because who wouldn't plug in their half stack to a little 8-bit synth? But that's basically it for the electronics on both ends here. It's fairly simple. And also the enclosures, I just wanted to give people some options on stuff depending on skill level and preference and how much time you want to spend on this. The real action is the code. And I thought the whiteboard went pretty well in the last video. If you missed that, it's about a IoT weather display, so I recommend it. So let's just talk about very simple what's happening here. So we have the feather, and we have the Circuit Playground. The feather is going to talk to the Circuit Playground. The way it's talking to it is with Bluetooth. And the way that Bluetooth works, I'm not going to go too deep into it because there's other resources that I can link down in the description. You'll get a way better understanding of it. But basically what's happening is it sends packets. Packets. Think of these like little balls it's thrown at it, and it hits it, and it goes, okay, I guess I'll do what you're asking me to do. There's a couple different types of packets you can send, but what we're sending are actually color packets. Because your first instinct, there are button packets in CircuitPython, and that might be your first instinct, is to send button packets because we're pressing buttons. But there are 12 buttons we're trying to send, and there aren't enough defined button packets for that. However, color packets, it's basically limitless because it's based on RGB values, so you're sending a value between 0 and 254 for red, green, and blue. Now, since we're also sending NeoPixel data because we want lights to swirl while we send our tones, that means that we can just send the color packet with the defined color that we want to send to the NeoPixels, and so then we can tell the Circuit Playground when it receives the color packets. Not only is it going to send those color packets to the NeoPixels, isn't that great, NeoPixel? It's also going to play a predefined tone. And so there are going to be 12 colors and 12 tones that are defined in the code for the Circuit Playground. Those colors are going to match the colors that the feather is sending, so then we can set up arrays so that it knows when I press this button on the feather and it sends the color packet, Circuit Playground can go, okay, I just got this color, that means I've got to swirl these NeoPixels in this color that I just got sent, but I'm also going to play this tone. Now the only thing is here, we have to stop the tone, because we can't have this. This is bad. We can't just wait for the next note. What if another note never comes? What if that we just have an E natural forever and always, and that's not great. Sorry if that upset anybody. So what happens is when the button is released on the feather, similar to when you have a button state machine, there's also, when the button is off, it actually sends another packet. And what that does is when the button is released, it sends a button packet to the Circuit Playground, almost like another button has been pressed, because it doesn't know what's happening here, it just knows about the packets. And so when this button packet is sent here, it turns off the NeoPixels. It's like, no more NeoPixels, no more, turn them off. And you stop that speaker, you mute it, you mute that speaker. So that's why it's fairly smooth. It's pretty instant. Now, the reason why the NeoPixels are sometimes delayed is the way that we're turning off the colors is we're actually using this animation library that's in the Circuit Playground, CircuitPython, which I really enjoy because you can easily get that swirl going with not too much code. It's just like this. And the way that we do that is we're sending it to be off. So technically, it's still animating right now, but with no pixels on. So if you happen to press a key, like that was delayed a little bit, and the off animation was maybe in the middle, it'll be a second. It'll take a minute before we get the color. But I mean, I think it's okay, because the tone is still happening pretty instantly. So that's how the code's working. It's all about those packets. It's all about it. So to summarize, when the button is pressed, it sends a packet of color to the Circuit Playground. And the Circuit Playground knows in the code that if it receives that color packet, then it needs to show those colors for the NeoPixels and needs to play the tone. When the button is released, just like that, it knows Circuit Playground gets that button press packet and it says, okay, turn off those NeoPixels and stop playing that tone. That's it. That's all. It's very easy. It's super easy. It's basically how you would do it in hardware if it was all on the same board, but just with a packet in between. But as I said, that's basically it. That's the project. That's all she wrote. I like it because it's this kind of fun way to do Bluetooth communication between two boards. And it's musical. And you get these cute little keyboard keys out of it. And I got to make a PCB. I stayed up way too late one night on a work night making it, but it was worth it. It was good. So yeah, it's going to do it for this project. As I said, there'll be a learn guide, have all the resources there, so you can download everything, you can download the code, you can do all that. But it's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, toss me a thumbs up, leave any questions or comments down below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to more content like this, more music in 2020. Oh yes. Until next time, this is from Blitz City DIY.